Hello.
We meet again.
Hello again and welcome back to Storm Talk. Today we'll be talking about Chormie, the Keeper of Time. You can take a moment to look at her bio. We'll take a moment to take a look at her character. Her character model is pretty simple, straightforward. I do like the fact that they actually went into detail of painting her fingernails.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just remembering a joke I tell you in the future. You're gonna love it.
Although since Chromi is a character from WoW, the transfer probably was pretty simple. A copy and paste it from one to another and then just translating any differences in the code types from the StarCraft engine to the or from the World of Warcraft engine. But yeah, overall, I like the character.
If you don't mind, I'm just gonna leap forward in time a little bit. Wow, you're still here.
Chromie was an interesting character in WoW to play, or not to play, but to play around with. She had a bunch of quests, and she was pretty much like the ambassador for the mortals to the Dragon Envoy, or the Bronze Dragons. So,
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just remembering a joke I tell you in the future.
yeah. So, anyway,
You're gonna love it.
let's go ahead and start talking about her abilities. So to start off, we'll do her trait, Time Walker. Straightforward, simple. You get all your talents one level early. I mean, yeah. So your level 10 talents, level 9, level 20 at level 19. Straightforward, simple.
If you don't mind, I'm just gonna leap forward in time a little bit.
Her Q is Sandblast.
Wow, you're still here.
It costs 20 mana, has a 3-second cooldown, and after a 1-second wind up, you fire a missile that does pretty good damage to the first enemy hero. This attack does pass over minions and...
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just remembering a joke I tell you in the future. You're gonna love
Man,
it.
her loop is actually really fast compared to some of the other heroes. Dragon's Breath has 70 mana and 14-second cooldown. The blast lands 1.5 seconds later. The enemies cannot see where the blast will land, which makes this a little hard to dodge, and it deals pretty good damage as well. This has a 14-second cooldown, where this has a 3-second cooldown. From these two abilities alone, you can pretty much see Chromie's designed to be a hard-hitting sniper tank. I want to say sniper tank, but no, kind of like a Sergeant Hammer tank style, not like a actual tank, where she's shooting like Nova snipes from the bushes or dropping these giant bombs on people.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Her last ability is Time Trap, 50 mana. It has an 18-second cooldown, and you place a time trap that goes stealth after 2 seconds. The first enemy hero to touch it will be put in stasis for 2 seconds, but you can only have one trap at a time. They do last for like ever though, so yeah, pretty cool. Her heroic abilities are Slowing Sands, 4 mana, or it costs 4 mana per second and has a 5-second cooldown. You place the Vortex, which will greatly slow enemies inside of it. The longer it's active, the higher the slow will go, up to 50% at 5 seconds. And her other ability is Temporal Loop. It costs 60 mana, has a 70-second cooldown, and whenever you hit a target, 3 seconds later, the target is going to go back to where they were.
Sorry. I was just remembering a joke I tell you in the future.
So, let's take a look at some of her skins. So you have normal Chromie, red and green variants, Master, with her red and purple variants. Those tiny little armored wings, it's kind of funny. Then you have the Fell Queen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just remembering a joke I tell you in the future. You're gonna love it.
With its pink and black variants. I think this is probably my favorite. The red and black armor is used a lot in both WoW and Heroes, She kind of reminds me of like a corrupted Alexstrasza a little bit in this skin. So this is the skin I'm going to choose, so let's go ahead and go. So, good, turn that off. We're sitting here at level 30, so these are all the level 30 damages. 1,266, 1,429, and, I mean, this doesn't really have a damage number, it just kind of freezes. So, her Q, really fast, hard-hitting snipe, and her W is just kind of a barrage, but it has a really long cooldown. Her snipe ability passes through minions, passes through walls, only hits heroes. So, but it does have a nice long range, like farther than you can see. And a very short cooldown, as you can also see. And she does have the standard mana regeneration, so at level 30, 20 mana with a 3-second cooldown, you're basically shooting this off instantly. Anyway, let's go ahead and drop back down to the levels.
Choose a talent.
We have all the time in the world.
And we'll toggle minions, so you can kind of see how she works in a fight. So, we're going to take a quick snipe into the dark. We missed. That's no big deal. So, as you can see, Dragon's Breath has a rather small area of effect to it. Just drop a time trap down there. And the enemy can't see where it is, so they don't know to get away from it. But, at the same time, it can be hard to dodge. It can be hard to aim, because it does have a small window. So, a good way to start working with it is to drop down Time Trap, and then to just drop everything on your enemy. Your Q has a pretty big windup, meaning it's really easy to dodge. However, since it can be cast from bushes into darkness, so, like, oh yeah, if I think he's here, if I hit him, he would be hit. Like, from bushes you can't see the way it's going to come out, which makes it a little bit easier to aim it and just kind of snipe it, just like Nova, for example. Okay, so let's turn that off before we actually level up. So, let's go ahead and take a look at her character, or her character stats. So, at level 1, Chormie has 1,215 HP, a 2.53 regeneration, 500 mana with 3-point regeneration, an attack range of 5.5, 76 attack damage, she attacks once per second, and all of her stats are normalized at that point. We jump to 10. We're still going to use the 10, 20, and 30, although she does get her heroics at 9 and 19. At level 10, 1,730 HP with a 3.57 regeneration, 590 mana with a 3.88 regeneration, and she now deals 108 damage per attack. At level 20,
Choose a talent.
she has 2,561 HP with a 5.25 regeneration, 690 mana with a 4.86 regeneration, and 160 attack.
Choose a talent.
Finally, at level 30,
Choose a talent.
she has 3,793 HP with a 7.78 regeneration, 790 with a 5.83 regeneration, and she deals 237 damage per attack.
We have all the time in the world.
Just another small demonstration at this damage level, basically the same. She deals a ton of damage, but she should be staying in the back a bit. You can get within an auto attack range, and she actually has some really nice talents for her auto attack, which we will get to shortly.
This way again? Or...
And Arthas is being a coward. So there you go. Couple of snipes here and there, and everything's good.
Sorry, but that's how it goes.
Now, we're going to take a look at her talents. So, at level 1, she has Compounding Ether. After hitting 25 heroes with Sandblast, increase its damage by 100. This sounds like a lot, but it doesn't start building. This would be great if it was something like every time you hit a hero with Sandblast, increase your damage by 4, reward once you hit 25 of them, increase it by an extra 100, so that gives you plus 200. Because Sandblast is hitting for almost 1,300 at level 30. Changing it from 1,266 to 1,366 isn't really going to do too much, and you're building that throughout the entirety of the game. It's no instant benefits. It's boom, 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 boom. Oh, here we go. Instead of a small hit, small reward, small hit, small reward, small hit, and small reward, like the rest of the quests. I don't like Compounding either. Later on, you do get some talents that make this easier to work towards, but 100 damage just isn't a lot. Even when you get some of the increased power abilities later on, still, it's lackluster. Deep Breath. Every time Dragon's Breath hits a hero, increase its damage by 2, up to 50. After hitting 25 heroes, increase its damage by an additional 150, also increase the sight radius by 100. Now, this ability takes forever to load because we are talking about a 14-second cooldown with a chance to hit. But 100% increased sight range will have you seeing from bush to both gates, which you can see one gate because it's yours, but yeah, from where she's now to the tower and the gate. I mean, yeah, it's pretty good. It does take forever, and it is working on her Dragon's Breath. So if you're going to build your Dragon's Breath and work on that, this is actually a pretty good talent to take. I would suggest this one about 40% of the time. Time Walker's Pursuit. Gathering a Regeneration Globe increases your mana regeneration by 0.1 up to 1.5. So she doesn't gain a lot of mana from these. A lot of them are like, oh yeah, I gain 1 extra mana per second or something like that. But this gives you an extra 1.5, which, again, at level 30, would put her into 7. 7 mana per second. But, as a reward, once you receive 15 globes, you'll get an additional 5% ability power. And 15 globes you can actually probably do in about 4 or 5 minutes. No, that's not right. I mean, in theory, you could do it in about 4 or 5 minutes. You'll probably have it done by about 10-minute marker, though. No questions asked. Where 25 of these would also probably take about 10 minutes. And then Peer into the Future. Activate to reveal a target area for 2 seconds. Enemies seen are revealed for 4 seconds. This you actually saw in the preview for Chormie. It's her ward. 25-second cooldown's kind of cool. It's a short cooldown, and it's a nice little ability, and you can target anywhere. But Deep's Breath, 40% of the time. Time Walker's Pursuit, 40% of the time. Peer into the Future, 18% of the time. Compound Ether, about 2 or 3% of the time. It can be good, but they're just better talents. I'm going to take Deep's Breath. just so I can try to show off the increased sight range, get closer to the end of this build. So, at level 3, we have Piercing Sands. Sandblast will hit the first 2 heroes in its path instead of just 1. So, this is the basic, your one-shot ability now hits 2 people. There are a couple of heroes that already have abilities like this. They're fun, they're cool. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much more that can be said about that. It's useful. You can hit 2 people for a shit ton of damage, but it's still only heroes, so you're not clearing out minion waves with it. And yeah, they have to be lined up, so not the best. Then there's Bronze Talons. Increase your basic attack range by 35%. Using Sandblast increases the damage of your next basic attack by 250%. This is my favorite out of all of these. Your basic attack range is increased. It puts you up there. Like, you're shooting as far as the far guys. Like, you're shooting it like at Nova and Raynor-ish levels. And using Sandblast increased your damage by 250%, so you're critically, you have the potential to critical every 3 seconds. I go for Bronze Talons most of the time. Like, that's my money right there. We are going to be going into Enveloping Assault because we're building the whole Dragon's Breath talent. But yeah. So Enveloping Assault, Dragon's Breath radius increased by 25%. Basic. Yeah. And it's the radius of the circle, not the casting radius. For some reason that seems like it should be said, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of how in my head, I'm like, yeah, it's the radius of the attack, not the casting range, but there should be like a distinction other than radius. Because when you think radius, like, you're thinking, okay, so halfway from a circle, like, the radius and diameter are basically the same thing, so the circle, so the range. But no, it's actually the casting point. Sorry, small little momentary glimpse into my head right there. So at level 6, you have Mobius Loop. Reduce Dragon's Breath's mana cost and cooldown by 50%, but also reduce the damage by 25%. Now, this seems a little bit off, especially when you're working with the quest. Fire a blast into the air, 1.5 seconds. It deals 1,400 damage, so you're going to drop that. I'm not going to do math, but you're dropping that by a little more than 300 damage, but you're halving the mana cost to 35 and 7 seconds. So, I think it's a good talent. You're doing less damage, but you're able to shoot off 2 Dragon's Breath for the cost and in the time as 1. So it's if you can hit both of them, it's an overall gain of like 50% damage. Dragon's Eye. Dragon's Breath does 25% more damage to enemies within its center. Dragon's Breath has a long cooldown. Or, I mean, not a long cooldown, but a long wind-up. It's a 1.5 second wind-up. I wouldn't really trust this. You're going to be able to bash down buildings really fast with this. Plus 25% on to 14 is more than 300. So, yeah, like, that's 17, like, minimum 17 damage. And you can see just how 14 does to a tower. So, if you're the siege unit, like, if you've become the siege for your team, like, you don't have any specialists, Dragon's Eye, not a bad talent. If you're going to go Deep Breath, for whatever reason, and we'll discuss some reasons to go Deep Breath in a minute, I'd actually probably say Mobius Loop, because you're popping it more often, and you'll actually be able to get that Deep Breath up. And you'll be able to get that 25 hits, and that plus 100 sight range. And then there's Chrono Sickness. Reduce time traps cooldown by 50%. After stasis ends, the enemies are also slowed by 40% for 3 seconds, after having had been stasified for 2 seconds. We're going to go with Mobius Loop. we're going with Mobius Loop. Chrono Sickness is also a really good option. So, yeah, Mobius Loop if you're building for sight. Dragon's Eye if you are the siege unit for your team. And Chrono Sickness basically all of the other times. At level 9, we're actually going to look at Temporal Loop first, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Temporal Loop, choose an enemy hero. After 3 seconds, they will teleport back to the location where you cast this, or where they were when you cast this. Yeah, it's kind of like Tracer's E, except you get to tell somebody else to do it. I mean, it's straightforward and simple.
So much left to be
We'll get
done.
over here and... we'll actually drop a couple. So as you can see, even with the Mobius Loop, it doesn't have a massive damage fall off. And that kind of just messed up, so I'm going to reset the cooldowns real quick. So,
We have all
you hit him with it. It'd be a lot more effective if he wasn't a bot, I promise. There we go. So then you can just aim for where he's going to be, and yeah, they'll be there. Let's just get a couple of extra shots off while they're free. He's a lot harder to hit with this than he should be. Okay, turn off those cooldowns, we'll turn off minions, we'll reset the points.
everything worked out.
So we're at 10 of 25. Okay, so at level 12, timeout. Activate to place yourself in stasis. You gain invulnerability for 7 seconds, and it can be reactivated again early to cancel it. This is a basic bubble. A lot of mages have that ice barrier. This is the same thing. You remove yourself from the fight for a couple of seconds. Every once in a while, it's great because it can give your team time to catch up with you, but most of the time it just ends up screwing you over because it gives the enemy team time to wrap around you. Especially in a lot of play, like 9 out of 10 times people use this. They use this and then get surrounded and picked off. It's a good talent if you're good. If you're not, like I would say if you're not, like, at least better than competent, this will screw you over 9 out of 10 times. But then there's that one time that will make you be like, oh yeah, that totally is how that's going to work, and so you're going to screw yourself over more. Confidence is a bitch. Don't get cocky. Reaching through time, increase Sandblast and Dragon Breath's range by 25%. I don't like this talent right here. This seems like a great talent. Like, oh, you're a character who is shooting outside of your range constantly. Like, your Q and your W both shoot so far outside of your range. Like, you can't even see over there. You're sitting here in like bushes and almost hitting walls. With that 25%, you would, from this bush, you could just be like, boom, that wall's dead now. Like, just give me 20 seconds, this wall's dead. But, bye-bye. Reduce the cast time of Hearthstone by 75 seconds. This will not be interrupted by taking damage. So, Hearthstone, also, she has a cute little Hearth animation. Now, you saw how long that was, and everybody knows the problem with Hearthing. You take damage, it's done. But
That's right. Magnificent.
we'll refresh these forts real quick.
No.
Run in, take a couple of shots. Towers can't stop you. You get a whole new Hearthing animation, and it's fast. And there's already kind of a little bit of a thing, especially for mage characters with lots of mana. When you run out of mana, it's actually, like, if you have to hearth for mana and health, it's actually faster for you to step out and hearth again, because the amount of health and mana you get from hearthing itself is actually, in some cases, greater than the amount you'll recover while sitting there. Mostly in the health, the mana is kind of a short enough thing. But with this quick of a Hearthstone, you have 3,000 health. You could step out and hearth 3 times faster than you could hit. Just because the amount of time, like, you're hearthing in 3 times is faster than the average person hearthing once. So when you're comparing it to timeout, like, no, the first time you think you're in trouble, hearth out, you're done. Nobody can stop you. Nobody can catch you. A stun's still probably going to stop you, but a stun would stop you from timing out if you can't click that fast enough. So nothing really changes there. Anyway, bye-bye 90% of the time. Again, if you're going with one of those, like, I am now the siege unit, you might want to go with reaching through time, but almost never timeout. At level 15, Shifting Sands. Hitting an enemy with Sandblast increases your ability power by 10% for the next 10 seconds. This ability can be stacked up to 50%, so 5 times. And obviously it refreshes every time you hit. If you took the 2 Piercing Sands, you can double that up, but just hit somebody once every 10 seconds, you're pretty good. So in a fight, you just pop, pop, pop. It's pretty nice. Fast forward. If Sandblast travels at least 75% of its base distance and then hits a hero, the cooldown is reduced by 1 second. I don't like this one. If this was like a level 4 or 7 talent, sure. If this would have been back here, it would be perfect. But it's not. At level 15 or level 16, you're expecting a talent that can literally sway a fight. So, with Shifting Sands, that's a potential for plus 50% damage. And it's a 10-second cooldown on or a 10-second timer on a spell with a 3-second cooldown. You can miss 2 Sandblasts, the third one hits, Shifting Sands still stays. Fast forward 1 second, so it's a third of the cooldown if you hit it after passing, like, there. Like, 75% of the way. Like, that's basically your natural sight range. So if you can shoot somebody in the dark reliably, fast forward works. If you can't, well, it won't. Simple enough. And then Quantum Overdrive. Activate to increase ability power by 25% for 10 seconds. Basically the same as Shifting Sands. Just a quick boom. I'm powering up, my attacks are going to hit harder, I'm going to smash smarter, I'm going to go Hulk. And that's what you want at level 16. Is something that you can either press or tap a couple of times and you just swayed the fight. Quantum Overdrive and Shifting Sands have that potential. Fast Forward, I don't think really does. So, I'm going to go Shifting Sands. And at level 19, Pocket of Time. Removes Slowing Sands mana cost and increases it. I shouldn't have read that one. That one's actually the next one. Doesn't really matter. Loophole. Temporal Loop hits all enemy heroes near your initial target. So basically just changes it to an AoE attack. Past and Future Me. After casting Sandblast, leave an echo of yourself behind. The next time you cast Sandblast, the echo also casts Sandblast, but does 50% of its damage. I'm going to take this one, just to show it off, because Loophole can't really be shown. So, you leave a fake U,
This way again?
and then when you
Is this
aim,
the first time?
but this keeps happening, so, like, infinitely. It's pretty nice, actually. So we're going to go ahead and toggle this real quick.
We have all the time in the world.
Drop a barrier real quick. We'll lock him here just in case he wants to get off. So as you can see, like, I'm staying in basically the same spot because this is a great sniping position.
Moving.
So I'm able to hit him, and like I'm basically doing 150% damage with this attack. Quick, fast, get on with it. It does only hit heroes. However, this can just be left in lane for you to do other things, and you just kind of shoot somebody as a small deterrent. I mean, they don't have to know it's the real you if you're shooting it from a bush. And at the same time, which one are they going to go after? Can be a big issue, especially if they both hit. You might not know which one's the real one to go after. So, yeah, because, like, if anybody's played against an Abathur or one of those characters, you know, you aim, like, oh, you see this guy coming from this very specific location? Yep, that's where I'm going to go next to kill him, because why not? How did I miss that? So yeah, I'm not really going to build in deeper because that's can be a problem. However, I am going to finish off Deep Breath, so I'll be back with you in a moment. So, as I was saying, I was going to finish this off. So, simple enough. As you can see farther than the camera. So if I get over here, this actually isn't a really good way to show it, but get over the Knight's camp.
We have all the time in the world.
So yeah, from the Knight's camp, like standing next to the Knights, I can still see the siege camp. Or bruiser camp to siege camp. Now, the reasons why this could actually be a great thing with Deep Breath, I would actually say going Deep Breath and not going any of these other talents, except for maybe Bye-Bye and Shifting Sands, could also be completely viable. And I'll kind of say that why in a second. But first off, I'm going to refresh. So, the other one, Time Walker's Pursuit. With Time Walker's Pursuit, you get an additional 5% after 15 globes. That would take way too long to show you here. And honestly, I would say going Deep Breath for most builds is actually probably better for this visual range. When I first was reading over it, I said Time Walker's Pursuit and Deep Breath are kind of a 50-50, with the pure into the future and the compounding taking the last 20 or so percent, and 40% to both of those. On the average game, if you're solo queued, you'll probably take Time Walker's Pursuit. It is actually the better talent for solo queue. Deep Breath, if you have even just a duo partner, someone you can coordinate with, Deep Breath is a much better talent. But a lot of times what I'll talk about is not the best talent or the talent that does the most damage, but the talent that the talent and build that combines enough damage and enough survivability that you don't have to rely on other people that you don't know. It's kind of the difference between me and a lot of places that do real big talent builds. Are a lot of heroes, like, for example, with my Nova, when I'm talking about Nova, I was saying, oh, take some of these survivability talents as opposed to just building up damage. Because if you get one-shotted as a Nova, you die. Where if you have an entire team and like your entire team is protecting you and shielding you and stopping you from getting one-shotted, no, you don't need the survivability. So for Time Walker's Pursuit, if you're solo queued, much better talent. It will increase your damage output. It will increase the amount of times you can shoot stuff. Great. If you have teammates that you can rely on, Deep Breath gives you increased vision, gives you a little bit of power on your Dragon's Breath, but that doesn't even matter because you have increased sight radius and you're a long-range sniper character. That's enough said right there. So I'm going to go in with Time Walker's Pursuit for this build, just to kind of demonstrate this one a little bit. Bronze Talents. With this one, I actually am going to go with Chrono Sickness. Level 9, we have Slowing Sands. Slowing Sands is pretty simple. It's 4 mana per second, and it just sits there and builds up. The thing is, at level 1, you have better than 4 mana per second mana regeneration. So if you're not casting spells, you can literally just have this up forever. And even if you are casting spells, it's not really that big of a... or it's not that big of a drain. And you can just drop it. It has a 5-second cooldown. At level 12, still bye-bye. I mean, it is definitely the best talent in her entire kit. At level 15, also, I do want to say, if you do nothing else, you can drop out your talent, like you drop your little time trap, you drop your thing, you stay back, you're shooting, you take any bit of damage, you're out. It does take out your ult, but you've just slowed an enemy for X amount of seconds, and you dropped a couple of big hitters. That's more than most characters can do in a short time. Like, that's burst damage right there. At level 15, I like Shifting Sands way too much. It is the perfect talent. It increases your Q ability, which is your primary damage dealer. It increases all of your other abilities, and it has such a wide margin for error, you don't actually have to worry about missing too much. Unlike, say, like the Kerrigan, or like the Nova sniping one, it's like, oh yeah, if you hit a minion or miss with your snipe ability, it resets to 0. And this one, it doesn't. Like, you can miss twice, and as long as you hit the third one, you're good. For her Storm ability, this time we're going to take Anderhal Anomaly. This sets you up as more of a CC character. Now, you won't be doing as much damage. If you want to do more damage with this, with a build similar to this, taking Pocket of Time removes the mana cost from Slowing Sands, increases the slow to 70%, so you can literally just keep it up forever in the middle of a fight. And, like, you're just sitting there blasting away at things while keeping it up. Which is really nice. I will not diss anybody for wanting to take this. I, however, have come to like Anderhal's Anomaly a little bit better, because this allows you to set mines, like set up a minefield. Now, when the cooldown for, like, it has an 18-second cooldown, let me make sure that. And once the cooldown is done, you get all 3 of them back.
This way again?
The thing is the cooldown doesn't start right away. I mean, it starts right away. It doesn't wait. So if you're setting up a minefield, boom, you're done. Like, the couple of seconds it takes to walk from 3 points, you've probably got the cooldown back. And if you only set like have to reset 1 or 2 traps, it's still kind of, or it still does the whole, after 18 seconds, you get all of the charges you've expended back. So with this build, you're much more CC focused. Actually, I'd probably say put that. So with this setup here, you sit in the bush. You have your mines here, so if somebody gets close to you, they get fucked. Similar to like an Abathur build. And you have your giant slow here, so if somebody, like, if your team's here, their team's there, they can't come from the side. They're gonna, like, if they come through the center, they're gonna get stasis. Like so. And boom. Now, since he's dead, I can't really rely on him to be here for another Shifting Sands hit, so I dropped a W on the building. Now, while he is here, I'm going to still auto-attack him between my Shifting Sands so I can get that critical damage off. But I'm going to try to charge up my Shifting Sands as much as possible for that bonus damage.
Of course.
And then I'm only going to get one shot off on this, actually. And as you can see, like, that's some pretty good, like, that's a pretty good hit right there, just from one attack. And remember, at a level, or with a 3-second cooldown, even if you don't hit anything with it, you're still spamming a critical from that. So, you go up here, I need a critical shot to do some damage. And yeah. So, yeah. Trying to think what I was going to say, but I mean, there really isn't much more to say at this point.
So much left to be done.
All in all, however you want to build her, this Chormie is a great character. As I've been playing her, I've been using her more as a CC heavy sniper. So I've been going with a lot of time traps to get people stuck, so I can drop both Dragon's Breath and Sandblast on them at the same time. I've been going with Slowing Sands just so I can, even if they don't go into it, no, if you go into that area right now, that's 50% slow. So, like, if I reset the cooldown real quick so I can just kind of drop this. If we're taking, like, let's say this is Butcher's Bay, and we're taking the boss up top, even if I'm just auto-attacking and doing simple stuff, that's vision.
We have all the time in the world.
Like, that is vision, that is a slow, that is warning. A couple of time traps here and there to stop people from picking us up or picking us off. And while Chormie isn't exactly the biggest hitter, she hits hard. Now, do be aware that let's reset this. So, I don't know exactly what the distance is here.
So much left to be done.
But so, from Trial, from Gates to Bush, you're good. Go a little bit further, and it breaks. So, roughly about an entire screen's distance between the center of the point and you, and it will break your Slowing Sands. However, that does mean that if you're, like, trying to hold it, but you're trying to hold your Nexus off, you can keep up your slow at the Nexus while still hurting for safety. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I've done with her over the last couple of hours playing her that I need to, like, I should say, and I don't think there really is, so let's go ahead and end this dance. I hope this was informative, I hope this was enjoyable, and good luck on the Nexus.